Thank you for your interest in Cyber Church of Christ. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any Bible question, or, because we usually study and learn topics in the Bible, there's a particular topic that you'd like to have a study on, be sure and just put it there and we'll work it up and we'll study it with you. And you can we do one-on-one or you can study in a group. Well, we'd love to have you like today on the first day of the week to worship with us in person. Today's was kind of someone mentioned about doing a sermon on devices, so that's what today's sermon is. And I like it when someone wants a topic, because then I can go right to it and prepare the lesson. Devise devices is today's lesson. Devise meaning the verb, and device is the noun. So devise devices. We're going to check out some of the Bible stuff here. Let's look at a simple definition. Device, the noun, is used to facilitate a desired result. So when I looked it up, there were seven Hebrew different Hebrew words for device, and there's two different Greek words for device, because devise and devices show up a lot more in the Old Testament than they do the New Testament. And then the verb devise is to create things to achieve a desired result. So one of you have to facilitate the result when it's a noun, and then you want to achieve a result is the verb. Now there were 10 different Hebrew words that say that are transliterated into English as devise. Now I'm also counting deviseth, devised, any tense thereof. So it's not just those two words by themselves, but the combination. And there was only one Greek word for devise, the verb. Okay, let's look at our first scripture today. What we're going to do is have some Old Testament verses, and we'll do the New Testament verses. We're going to start off with Isaiah 32:7. Isaiah 32:7. The instruments also of the churl are evil. And there's a colon there. Now, when you look up churl, you see that's an old-fashioned English word. And when you look up the Hebrew word, which is at H3596, you'll see what it means is an impolite or mean-spirited person, or what our more modern word would be scoundrel. It's a scoundrel. Okay, so the instrument is a device. Like have an instrument that something as simple as a screwdriver is a device, because you need to unscrew something. Well, then you get the device that's made for that. And so it's not much different than the Bible. So just remember, we have the Satan out there that likes to devise devices, and we need to be aware of that. That'll be in today's lesson. Okay, the instruments also of the churl are evil. And then there's a colon there. He deviseth wicked devices. So we have both tense in there, the noun and the verb. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So that has to do spiritually. Those that are poor in spirit, maybe they don't know much Bible, or maybe they don't even believe in the Bible and all. Well, spiritually, that's actually you're spiritually poor. So it's not always, when you see the word poor, it's not always lack of money, lack of wealth. So yes, the word churl is in there, and it's an impolite or mean-spirited person. So the instruments that are evil, they devise wicked devices, and it's to destroy. What is the main thing they use as a device? Lying words. Oh, now I have a quote that says, the most effective lie is 99% true. So that's how effective it can. Anyway, lying words is part of this devising a device. They pick out the right words, usually if they want to get back at us for something or something like that. Now notice this deviseth here I have is this Hebrew number, and devices, the noun, is this Hebrew number. So let's look at this. For deviseth, the verb, in Hebrew, it means to seek or give advice, to purpose, to plan, to plot, to conspire against. Okay, so you can see the motivation there is, hey, you know, I need to devise something to get back at something or to have some purpose. Well, you can see the evil in the world. They create devices that are aimed at the church and or even try to divide us. Especially they can divide us between us and our Father in heaven and Jesus, our high priest, our Lord in heaven. You know, they can speak evil, and they can even speak evil of our Father and Jesus and the Bible, everything. Okay. But our faith and our strength, we should know that what? Oh, they're just devising a device to make us fail. And then the Proverbs, we're going to look at two verses in Proverbs, and they both share the same verb uh, in in uh, in Hebrew that says to engrave, to plan, to plot, or to be silent. That can mean all those things. Proverbs 3:29, devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. Okay, well, you're talking about like the neighbor of the housing unit I live in. Well, we have a lesson on neighbor, and when we studied it in the Bible, we found out that that's anybody breathing on the planet at the same time you are, ends up being your neighbor. So no, it's not confined to your neighborhood or your city, state, country. It's actually the world. Okay. So this was a commandment out of the Old Testament, but it's also our commandment in the New Testament. We'll find out. Devise not evil against thy neighbor, seeing he dwelleth securely by thee. So the neighbor's not going to go away. And also the evil's not going to go away. It's just telling us, hey, don't devise evil. Well, I know, but my neighbor did me wrong. And, you know, I'd like to see something bad happen to him or get back at him. Well, that's not Christian. You're supposed to be in a forgiving mode. Whatever your neighbor does to you, you can forgive him, because if not, I'm going to have a bunch of thoughts about evil thoughts about getting back at him. Well, that's devising a device. So we want to get away from that. All right, let's also look at Proverbs 14:22. Do they not err that devise evil? Okay, so if I devise something evil, I already know it's an error out of our doctrine. Yeah. Do not they err that devise evil, but mercy and truth shall be to them that devise good. Oh, okay. If you're going to devise a device, it's to have something good come out of it. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So if you're thinking about doing something good for somebody or for a group of people and all, especially when it involves the truth, then that's good. That's good to devise something good. So yes, so you're not going to devise anything evil, especially against thy neighbor. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have mercy and truth to them that devise good. Devise good. I'm going to have mercy and truth on my side. Okay, that's good to know. Let's look at the New Testament as far as the devising devices go. First thing we're going to look at is Acts 17:29. For as much, that's one word instead of three. For as much then as we are the offspring of God, so don't forget that we're the offspring of God, We ought not to think that the Godhead is like unto gold or silver or stone, graven by art and man's device. Okay, so what is this? What is this Godhead? Oh, that's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That's considered the Godhead. Okay, so the word Trinity is not in the, word Trinity is not in the Bible, right? It's actually the Godhead, or sometimes just says God when it mentions all three. But the word Trinity is not in the Bible. But the Godhead is not something that's physical. It's not gold or silver or stone. Now, what happened when Moses went up to get the Ten Commandments to bring back to his people? Well, they come back and they've done what? They've got a golden something that they grave. Well, it's actually a golden calf. They made a device that they could worship. Okay, so it's a sin to worship something that's not their Father. It's not God. Yeah, I got this device here. I want to worship. I found I'll see something disgusting on TV, like they found a picture of Jesus on a piece of wood or something, and then people will go by and think that's some kind of religious object. Well, that's what this is talking about here. That the Godhead is like unto gold, silver, or stone. Deal. Well, you ought not to think that. You ought to keep it spiritual. So our God is spiritual. We have a spirit from God living in us. So keep your thoughts on things above. Aren't your thoughts spiritual? Okay. Well, devise something good or don't devise anything at all, because we already know we're not supposed to devise anything evil, especially if it has to do with getting back at somebody, because vengeance belongs to our Father. So that's where the revenge comes in. So let's look at this art and man's device. So this device here, the last word in Greek, it means this enthemesis is the thought, reflection, design, or ideas. Okay, so man comes up with an idea saying, "Hey, this is religious." Well, yeah, I made a thing of art. I have an art thing here that's actually a religious symbol. Oh, well, there's an Acts 17:29 in the Bible. Says, I'm not going to worship your idol that you came up with. No, it's not. The Godhead is not like anything physical. Godhead's spiritual. So we don't do graven art. We don't have statue. Besides, no one knows what Jesus looked like anyway. You might be surprised that when Jesus is described in the book of Isaiah, it says there's no beauty in him. So every idol that I've seen that man makes, they make Jesus look out like a handsome person, and he was not, according to Isaiah. We can look that up later because that's pretty interesting. Okay, so we are the offspring of God, so we're not going to think about something physical, saying, "Hey, here's God," or "Here's this represents God." If you want something that represents God, look in the mirror. You have a spirit from God living in you. Well, then you should have your thoughts spiritual. So we're spiritual people, especially us in the church. We should be thinking spiritually all the time, keeping our thoughts on things above. All right, let's follow up here with, and it's going to be a different Greek word, devise. 2 Peter 1:16. For we have not followed cunningly devised fables. Well, I remember this word fables from elementary school. We had a thing called Aesop's Fables, and you looked at stories that meant something, but they were fables. They weren't like something true. Okay, like the rabbit and the turtle, something like that. Anyway, we have not followed cunningly devised fables. Before I finish the verse, let's look at this word devise. And it says down here that to make, it's G's 4679, to make wise, to be cleverly inventive, cunningly devised. So that's the verb for in the Greek. Yes. So what is cunningly? Well, like magic, I'm going to trick you. I devise something, and it's actually false. So anyway, here we have a commandment. Hey, you don't follow that. We don't follow cunningly devised fables. Okay. Now, let's look at the rest of the verse. When we made known unto you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but were eyewitnesses of his majesty. And that's because they lived at the same time that Jesus was alive on the planet in the first century. So anyway, we need to be made known. How we have things made known? Well, that's what we're doing now. We're studying Bible and knowing the scriptures. That's where the truth is. So how do you know what a fable is? Well, because I studied what was true, and then I recognized the thing you made that was a fable. I mean, it was clever. It was cleverly devised. But I got a verse in 2 Peter that says, and I'm not going to follow your cunning device, because you devise fables. And so here it says, to make wise, to be cleverly inventive, cunningly devised. Okay. And then the definition of fable, I've got down here. A false statement, let me highlight, a false statement or belief, story of myth and legend. Okay. So people say, well, those are just stories. There's some people claim to be Christians, and they'll go, hey, those are just stories in the Bible. It's not like it's true or anything, but it's just to get us to think. Well, that's not biblical. Everything in the Bible is true. There are no false statements. There's no myth. Okay. And legend means usually you're going to have something made up. So, well, what we're doing is we do legends. We do things that are culture likes, but it's not biblical. Okay, well, that's part of a fable. So we in the Cyber Church of Christ, we're going to do what? Well, we're going to look at what's true, what's been made known. How is it made known? I got it right here. I got the Bible right here. Okay, and then you know what? When I've made known the Bible, I can see that you devised a fable. So we're not going to follow that thing that you made up. Okay, so now look at another New Testament verse, 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest, this word lest means unless. So that's a formal English for unless. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, and there's a colon there, for we are not ignorant of his devices, plural. Okay. So Satan can take advantage of something, something didn't go my way. I'm really depressed. Some things are going bad and all. Well, Satan goes, hey, the guy's depressed right now. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to devise a device that'll get him to sin, or maybe even not even be in the church. What, you get some kind of cunningly devised? Oh yeah, we already looked at that, 2 Peter. So Satan's going to come up with a deal and see there's an advantage. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Well, how am I not ignorant of his devices? Because I studied what was true. I know what's true, and then go, oh, this is a trick from Satan. Well, I know, but it was your neighbor, wasn't it your neighbor that done you wrong? Yeah, but you know what you need to think? You need to think Satan's behind that. Oh, I had a weakness, and then my neighbor came in and did something I didn't like. Immediately I thought, hey, I ought to get back at him. Okay, well, did you know that Satan's behind that? Oh, he saw your weakness and says, hey, I'm going to take advantage of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a device. since I need to get an advantage over you. What do you have as an advantage as a Christian? I got the truth. Got the Bible, the truth. The high priest is Jesus, our Father, who we worship and sing praises to. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't want to have Satan do something when I'm disadvantaged. Well, what's he going to do? He's going to create a device just to do that. Yeah. Remember, I mentioned the simple thing about a screwdriver because I want to unscrew something. Yeah. That's the device I use. Yeah. And that, can you use it for something else? No, that's all it's good for. That's what Satan does. It's, oh, I know I'm going to take advantage of this. I got a device that's perfect for this. It's going to get the guy to fail here. Because one thing is, he's a little weak. He wanted to, I'm going to I'm going to devise a fable. Maybe he'll believe that. Or he get my neighbor to come after me to get me all mad. And when I say neighbor, I mean mankind, which is male and female. Well, let me think. Okay, well, this Satan's behind. It's much easier to forgive the guy when I know Satan's behind it. Satan had all this happen. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, what is this devices here? The noun. It's thought, mind, scheme, design, plot. So you're going to design a plot just to make me fall for a device that you've come up with, Satan? Yeah. I saw you had a weakness there, and I go, man, I'm going to take advantage of that. And I got a device exactly for you to make you fail, make you keep sinning. Well, if you're going to get back at a person, how many sins is that? First of all, you're thinking about sin, thinking about making a device. All that's a sin before the actual sin even occurs. Because of your thoughts. Yeah, so he's going to, hey, let me get it. Satan going to say, hey, let me mess with your thoughts there. Get you to think something evil, then my device will work good. Oh, that sounds like some kind of scheme. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened. And you're going to plot against me? Yeah, so here I'm learning what Satan does. Satan says, oh, I'll have some event or some person or something happen in your life and make you real weak. And then I'm going to come in with an advantage. I go, okay, good. I'm going to make a device for this, make things work. So think of that. Think of that when something bad happens and all, you to go, you know what? Satan's behind this whole thing. So I'm just going to pray for forgiveness and forget about it and go on with my life. Oh, okay. So keep that in mind. When things start going bad, say, hey, wait a minute. Is Satan behind this whole deal? Yeah. I was weak right there. Yeah. And then he went and took advantage. Yeah. This is what 2 Corinthians 2:11 says. He said, Satan will get an advantage of you. Okay. By doing what? By scheming, plotting against you. Okay. Well, at least I'm aware of that. Yeah. Well, it's much more comforting that I don't get back at my neighbor because I know Satan's behind the whole thing. And then that's much easier to deal with than to deal with the physical issue I'm dealing with. All right, let's look at this last verse, 1 Peter 5:8. And it doesn't have the word device in it, but let's keep this in mind. 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, and that means spiritually. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil. Okay, well, I thought my neighbor was my enemy guy because of what he did. No, your adversary, it's right here, 1 Peter 5:8. Your enemy's the devil. Devil's just using man and all, using things to get back at you because he wants to get an advantage. Wants to take advantage of this bad thing you're going through. And he's thinking, the guy has some bad thoughts. You know what? I'm going to devise a device. Because why? That's what he does for a living. That's what it says here. Hey, Satan should get an advantage of you, but you need to be not ignorant of his devices. So think about that next time something bad happens and you think, hey, I ought to get back at him. Well, actually, that's just a device Satan used to get to you. So let's look at this 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil. So your neighbor is not your adversary, not your enemy. Adversary means enemy. The devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. How's he going to seek he may devour? Because he's going to devise a device. And not only that, it's plural. He devises plural, devices plural. Okay, so be vigilant. Keep in the faith, keep your faith strong. And so when something, because when I was doing this lesson, I was going, oh, yeah, I can see that. This bad thing, an event happened that I didn't like, or this person said something I didn't like. Okay, well, you know what? That came from Satan. That's one of the devices he came up with. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to do forgiveness for this thing that happened or this person that done me wrong. And then I'm going to keep my thoughts on things above. Okay, well, let's be vigilant. Yeah, you're going to say, hey, you know what? Satan's to blame for everything that's going bad. Well, why is that? Because he's my enemy. Fellow man's not your enemy. Your enemy's the devil. And you know what? He walketh about. He's a 24/7 person. He's not a person, but he's a spirit. He walketh about doing what? Seeking you may devour. Oh yeah, this guy's got, I'm going to take advantage. So this devour means what? Well, devour here means making sin. I'll make the guy sin. You know what? I got a plot set up just for that. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scheme this. I'm going to have this happen. I'm going to have this person say something to him. And then that ought to get him weak and got him thinking about things on the earth instead of things above. And then does make Satan happy? No, he stays bitter. Okay, so I did what Satan wanted to do and he's not happy. Oh no, he just stays bitter. He'll just come up with another device. Well, he'll just keep taking advantage. So we need to get rid of that thought, that thinking, and remember that our enemy is Satan. He devises devices that does exactly what it's intended to do. It's a plot. He goes, oh, you know what? You're weak in this area. Let's see, what can I do to make him sin? Well, yeah, I'll devise this device. I'll implement it. It's a little scheme here I got going that he'll fall for. Oh, well, I've got a verse here, 2 Corinthians 2:11, that says, I'm not ignorant of your device, Satan. I know this was a device. Now that I know that I've thought, hey, it's a device from Satan, well, I can calm down now spiritually. I'm not going to blame the event or the other person or nothing. I'm going to know, hey, Satan set up this whole deal. He devised a device that did exactly to get to me. I started to fall for it. I thought about it and said, you know what? Satan's behind this deal. I'm just going to pray for forgiveness and let God handle it. Well, who's got vengeance? God has vengeance, not you. Oh, vengeance belongs to me, said the Lord. That's in Old and New Testament. So no, that's not even your job. Your job not to get back at somebody. Just keep this in mind. This could be a devised device by Satan to get me to fail. Okay, so don't be ignorant of that. That's what you got to. So a commandment is to not be ignorant of Satan's devices. Yeah, we just read it. Okay, so be sober, be vigilant, because the devil is a roaring lion. Roaring lion, that means that it's hungry and ready to consume something. Yeah, exactly. And he walketh about, meaning he's there. Are you living in a dark world that's full of sin? Yeah. Okay, well, how about a commandment that says you should be a bright light in a dark world? Oh, because Satan is walking about seeking, this ing on here means it's happening now. That means it's past tense. Present tense. That means he's doing that now. Okay, what's he doing now? He's walking about and see who he may devour. Well, how's he going to devour him? He's going to devise a device. It's just exactly something you would fall for. Okay, well, now that I have this lesson, I'm going to say, hey, Satan's behind this. I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to get vengeance. I'm just going to forgive everybody or everything, and I'm going to go back and keep my faith strength. I'm going to keep my faith. That's this vigilant here. Keep the faith. And you know what? You need to know your adversary is the devil, not fellow man, not that event, a bad thing that happened to you. Because you live in the world, bad things are going to happen. You're going to be disappointed in this or that. You're going to be mad about this or that. Okay, well, don't let it get to you. That's what today's lesson is. Hey, that was a device. Satan tried to get at me with that. Oh, but I know, but they're like family and friends and stuff. Yeah, that's why he's walking them out. He goes, let's see, where are you weak at? Okay, you're weak about this. You know what? I'll devise a little plot here. That'll get you. That'll get you to think about evil, have evil thoughts. Keep your thoughts away from God and think about, well, yeah, my fellow man did this to me. Well, no, all that is nothing but a devised device that Satan has come up with. Anyway, I hope you got something out of today. Keep this in mind in your life each day that goes by, because each day Satan's walking about wanting to see who he can devour. But we're going to do what? We're going to keep advantage. We're going to know we're not going to be ignorant of his devices. So just remember that things go bad, someone did something wrong to you. All those things are to keep me from getting my faith weak. If you have faith in the Father, well, then Satan's going to look for a weakness somewhere. And he finds that because he's out there working. This says here he walks about. Satan doesn't go away, and he's a 24/7. Okay, so when you see that something's real bad happened, someone said something, someone did something to you, just remember your enemy is not them. Your enemy is the devil. And all this is probably a device that Satan's come up with. And then I have a commandment to not be ignorant of that. That, hey, it came from Satan. Anyway, we're the Cyber Church of Christ. We're easy to contact, either an email, or you can always reply to the YouTube. And if you have a topic that you want to study or have a lesson on, then send that to us. And we'll do what we did today, like on a device. I want to see what devising devices is. Okay, we got a lesson on that. And you know who devised devices? Satan. He does that for a living. The devil. The devil says, hey, you know what? I'm going to devise a device exactly what it's supposed to do. It'll get you to fall for it. Okay, well, then I'm going to keep in mind that I'm not going to be ignorant. You know what? This came from Satan, and I'm not going to fall for it. I'm going to stay vigilant. I'm going to keep my faith strong. I'm going to put it all in God's hands. You ever heard that? Just leave it up to God? Yeah, that's what us Christians do. We'll leave that up to God and say, boy, Satan tried it on me this time. Yeah. Well, guess what? He's still seeking to get you next time. Well, what happens is I'm just going to keep thinking, all right, this is a device by Satan. And I got a commandment that says, hey, don't be ignorant of that. Keep your thoughts on things above. Don't fall for it with Satan trying to get you to sin. So, yes, that's the whole lesson today. Devise devices. So I hope you got something out of today's lesson and implement it into your thinking. Remember, when you get mad, someone cut you off on the freeway, something small like that. Just remember, Satan's out there doing his thing. And us Christians, well, we'd be his number one target. People that are already evil, he doesn't need to devise a device for evil. They're already doing evil. He's coming after us. Okay, hope you have a great day. Just remember, we love you. We want you to be saved in the end. That's the whole purpose of Cyber Church of Christ.